cornerback Darrell Luter Jr. of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We'll begin with Coach Wommack's opening remarks, and then we'll take questions for both Coach and for our student athletes. Coach?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I got to say, it really is an exciting time for the Sun Belt Conference. Very exciting time for the University of South Alabama, and I get so much joy out of being the head football coach at South Alabama. This was a dream of mine from 6 years old, and to get to live that dream out over the last 18 months, heading into our second season, is a really rewarding experience for me. I got into coaching and wanted to be a head football coach to create an environment where everyone in our building and surrounding our program can strive to become the best versions of themselves on and off the field. That's players, coaches, families, coaches' kids, as I once was. That we can have an environment where we all strive to become the best versions of ourselves, and to live that out daily is really awesome from the head coaching position. I certainly don't do it alone, and I'm very fortunate to be at the university that I am at South Alabama and in the city of Mobile. We have tremendous leadership from our Mayor Stimson and all the things that are happening in the commerce and growth of our community. Our new president, Joe Bonner, with his wife, Janae, tremendously excited about the connections and network that they bring to us after 11 years of being a U.S. congressman for our district in the Mobile area. Also, just some of the experiences that he has and the connections that he has made already in a short amount of time are really tremendous. Our chairman of the Board of Trustees, Arlene Mitchell, who has just taken over that role from Jimmy Schumacher, who was a big piece of getting football off the ground. The leadership of our board has really been tremendous, and feeling their support. And then certainly we have a rock star of an athletic director in Joel Erdman. I am so excited about the way we are building our administration, the team that he has put around, not just to support our football program, but to support all of our athletics. And it's a reason why we have been a program that has won year after year the Bubas Cup and is in contention for that every single year because of his leadership and the work and effort for so many people around our athletic program. Specifically, though, our football program, there are people that have come to build something at South Alabama, and we're a young program. And with football, and you think about some of the young men, our oldest alumni is 34 years old. But those young men that started our football program came to build something. And I think about that every day when I step in the office and I step on the field with these young men and these student athletes that are here and alongside their teammates. We are walking on the foundation that people have come alongside and laid for us. Some of that's through the university. USA Health is booming right now. Tremendous growth in the city and the community. Our engineering department, our business program, we're looking to have a $20 million performing arts center in the near future here to grow the arts in our community as well. All those things from a university standpoint, all the resources that have been put into specifically our football program in Hancock Whitney Stadium and our indoor facility and our field house. We've got 2 brand new locker rooms and a new team meeting room on the way. All those things and resources that we represent, and to walk upon that foundation, knowing that our best days are ahead of us, are really exciting for myself and for our players and coaches alike. Here with me today, it's really exciting to have Jalen Wayne and Darrell Luter here with us from the wide receiver position and defensive back. Jalen was a young man that I was fortunate enough to be a part of his recruitment process when he came in and when I was a defensive coordinator years ago. Despite my best efforts to see his athleticism and move him to the safety position as a defensive coordinator, he told me very promptly, Coach, I don't get the ball in my hand enough to play the defensive side of the ball. The head coach version of Kane Wommack is very excited about that decision that he made years ago, and very excited about his leadership to our wide receiver core and the things that he will accomplish in his final season before he goes on to a tremendous career moving forward in the game of football. Darrell Luter, I can't tell you how proud I am of this young man and the effort and work that he has put in. You know, he came from Oak Grove High School, where I actually grew up in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. My wife went to that high school, and I think about 6 guys signed Division I scholarships out of that high school at that time, and Darrell was not the highest recruited player out of that area. He had to work for everything he got through the junior college ranks, and even when he came on campus at South Alabama, he has gotten better and better and better to where he has now put himself in position to be one of the premier defensive backs in all of college football. And so it's exciting to have these young men that represent our university, our community, and our football program in ways on and off the field that we would want to be represented. You know, we have improved in pretty much all facets of our program. If you look back where we were 18 months ago, it was not a broken system. The cupboard was not bare. There were certainly things that we had to do culturally, talent, schematically, to improve our football program, and we've taken steps in that direction. But from year 1 to year 2, we have improved really in every area. What that means remains to be seen. You know, that's why you play the games themselves, right? All we try to focus on, we don't talk about in our building, you'll never see up on the board team goals, you know, a Sun Belt championship and a bowl game and all those other things. Certainly we have high aspirations and expectations, and ultimately wins and losses dictate our future, right? And the reward and consequence of college football. But we just want to narrow the margin of error so that we can work within the margin of success. I think that's a critically important thing that we do, is all the things schematically, talent-wise, culture, standard, expectations, we've got to work to continue to narrow that margin of error so that we're working within a margin of success of our program, and that ultimately is where we will find success. Consistency is a huge piece of what we have to do. This has been a program that over the years, in just a short amount of time, we have had big moments in our history. We've won big games. You think about my first year there as the defensive coordinator in 2016. We played Mississippi State and go beat them in Starkville. Number 19 in the country, San Diego State, comes into our place, and they go home with a whooping from Mobile, and then certainly, you know, we've been to bowl games, all that stuff. But consistency is what we have lacked in our program, and that's something that we build every single day. Against the best teams in our conference this past year, you know, we went toe to toe with those teams, and I think for the most part we weathered the storm into the fourth quarter. But maybe we were just more excited to be in that moment as opposed to expecting to be in that moment. And you look about, you know, where we were with Louisiana, who's been the standard bearer in our league for the last 4 seasons, and losing after missing a field goal 2018 against those guys, double overtime against Coastal Carolina. We have to start changing the dynamic of our program from weathering the storm to we've got to start embodying the storm itself. We've got to start inflicting our force and our will onto our opponent. And when we get in those big games and those big moments, we need to expect to be there and not just be excited that we're just in it at the end of a game. And so that's an exciting challenge for us. Very excited about our schedule, and very much looking forward to moving forward into fall camp with our players.
Before we take any questions, because there are new teams in the league, new faces in the room, well, he's also a new face, Travis Jerome. Travis, I know you were in here just a minute ago. Wave hand, he's working. Sports Information Director at South Alabama, and he is the guy to go to for all information about the Jaguars. We will take questions for Coach Wommack and the student athletes. For those of you here in the room, if you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for a microphone to get to you. If you would, please stand when you do your question so we can catch you on camera. Please state your name and media affiliation before you ask a question. And for those of you on Zoom with us, please type your question into the chat. I'll read them aloud.
Raymond Parch, The Game, 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. This is for Coach and the players. Coach, you mentioned consistency, and that's what's kind of the driving force, you guys. That's what you're trying to attain, and that'll get you to the next level. How close do you and the players, how close do you guys feel that you're getting to that point where you're going to be a consistent program week after week?
I think again, when you are process driven like we are, and people talk about that and say, well, that may be a coaching cliche, but ultimately that is our responsibility. There are factors that are out of your control in a college football game. We call it Murphy's Law in our program, right? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Murphy is going to show up in every single game. Adversity is going to hit and is going to happen. Our job as a program is to become so consistent, so relentless in the details of accomplishing our vision for what we want to be offensively, defensively, special teams, culture, weight room, that we are just narrowing the margin of error, right? And if we can narrow that margin of error well enough, we will have the success on field because of the consistency that we operate with a program. You feel great, all right, you just work. You don't feel very good going into a game, just work and do that same high-level consistent job over and over again. We are significantly moving closer towards that point. Phyllis.
Just to piggyback off of what Coach said, we're just narrowing down the margin of error. We're taking every day, day by day, step by step, just giving it our all.
Yeah, what Coach said, we just been implementing as far as the consistency. We just be coming in every workout. Everyone bringing 100, and we setting a standard. So whatever standards you set at the beginning, you're expected to keep that every single day. So that's how we're just dealing with that margin of error and just making it smaller.
Coach Emmanuel Pepe, Sun Belt Conference. Just talking about this division, not only the conference as a whole, but in particular in the Sun Belt West, it feels like there's a lot of coaches, a lot of quality coaches, but coaches that are trying to establish or in some cases reestablish some proud traditions. What kind of dynamic does that add to the level of competition for you guys?
Yeah, I think, the Sun Belt, I said at the beginning here, this is a tremendous league. And what is fun for me is being in this league a few years ago and seeing the growth to where we are now is really exciting. And we make no bones about it. We are working to establish ourselves as the premier Group of 5 conference in all of college football. And when you look at that and you see particularly the teams in the West, you've got some new faces, you've got new coaching staffs, you've got new resources and facilities that have been invested into those programs, and we're seeing the fruit of those investments as well. I think this is a very competitive side to the league, the division certainly. I think what Louisiana has done on our side over the last 4 years and it has really been tremendous. And as we move forward, teams that are working to catch up to really those guys as standard bearers is exciting, and I think the playing field is in a position to where you are going to have to compete, and it will be very challenging to navigate week after week into the season. I think it's something we're all pretty excited about.
I have a question on Zoom, Coach, and it's one that we've had several times today. There was a lot of talk yesterday about the power in the Sun Belt East Division. Is the West Division being a little ignored?
I don't think so. I think I don't think there's anybody in our side of the league that you would overlook. For years, you look at the last 10 years of the landscape of the Sun Belt Conference, and some of the best teams and at the highest level have come out of the Sun Belt West. The resources, the energy, the talent that is in that region is really tremendous. I think there are great teams in the East. I think there are great teams in the West, and I think it's going to be a very challenging conference regardless of what division you're in.
I definitely feel like the West is really good, but the East has great teams just as well. Definitely the West, because I believe Louisiana won the chip last year, so I would give it to the West as far as which side is stronger. And we have more talented players on this side, and the East side is pretty good too, though.
Like Coach said, all the teams, the East and the West, we're about the same. We're all just competing. It's never a team we should overlook. At the end of the day, we're all competing and just doing what we do.
Jalen, a question for you. Just talking about, of course, Jalen Tolbert last year was such a big guy for you guys. Now you're kind of being looked at as a guy that's really kind of, seeing the leadership of especially that receiver group. Just kind of talk about assuming that role and the guys in that room as well, and a lot of experience coming back, and just kind of talk about overall what Jaguar fans could look forward to this year.
They could look forward to nothing different than it has been. I've been expecting a role, and everything that comes with it, I'm okay with. I got a lot of young guys to lead, and that's nothing that's ever been different to me. I've been leading them since I got here, so I just attack every day the same, regardless of who's in there with me or not. I'm just ready to go make plays.
Got another question for Coach. How have you improved up front offensively, and how have you improved at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think, if you look at our season last year and probably some of the challenges and adversity to being consistent and successful offensively was in the run game. We did some very dynamic things in the passing game because of guys like Jalen Wayne and Jalen Tolbert. Our tight end core is not just a bunch of blockers. We have some true dynamic receivers out of that room as well. But from an offensive line standpoint, I think that was probably the biggest overhaul that we had, along with our running back position. We have since brought in 3 Power 5 transfer players at the running back position, along with our 2 leading rushers, and Terry and Avery and Brian Hill. I think we got the most dynamic player in the city of Mobile, and Braylon McReynolds, coming in as a true freshman that will be able to help us in a multi different facets. We have to establish a run game to be a consistent championship program, better than where we were a year ago. I think we've addressed some of those needs from a talent perspective on the offensive line. Constant conversation and hours of communication with Major Applewhite and the rest of our offensive staff about what runs do we feel like fit our scheme, are complementary to our passing game, fit our personnel and players that we're going to be able to establish and utilize, because ultimately in every game with a great program, there are going to come moments where you have to effectively run the football. That looks different for a lot of different teams, but we have to find what our identity is within that, and I think we made some great strides in that as we move forward into year 2.
Any other questions from the floor? Was that a hand, or was that? Here we go.
This is Taylor Crett from WDAM in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. For Coach, just your background with Southern Miss, what do you think about the addition of them with Sunbelt and the tradition they bring into the conference, but also the proximity to you guys and just maybe the regional rivalry that can be created there? Yeah,
I think, obviously my family and we have a long tradition and history with the University of Southern Mississippi and some of those great Dave Wommack defenses over the years that I really grew up. I fell in love with the game of football in Hattiesburg and watching those great defenses and those great teams that were led by Jeff Bauer, and was fortunate enough to play for him and Larry Fedora, who had tremendous success during his tenure there as well. That is one thing that Southern Miss has, right? A great storied tradition and history, and that's something that's so exciting to bring into the Sun Belt Conference. When you look at us, right, that's something that we are moving towards. It's exciting to know that our best days are ahead of us as a program for South Alabama, and you have Southern Miss and you have Troy and you have teams that have been around for quite a bit longer, and to know that we're going to get to compete in improving the legacy of the Sun Belt moving forward is really exciting.
Any other questions from the floor? Coach, Jalen, Darrell, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Good luck this season.
All right, thank you guys. Jay's up and Elio.
That will conclude our 2000.